Have you ever played a Castlevania? One of Konami's longest running franchises that's sadly dropped off the radar in recent years? There's been numerous games released across multiple platforms, some ranked among the best games on their respective systems, while other games in the franchise people would more than happily like to forget about. Today, I'm here to look at the game that started it all, Castlevania for the Nintendo Entertainment System, a game up until recently I've never been able to finish. First released in Japan in 1986 by everyone's favourite franchise-killing company Konami, the player takes the role of Simon Belmont, or Simon Belmondo as the credits state, as he makes his way through Dracula's resurrected castle, fighting off hordes of enemies and classic horror icons, all with the sole aim of vanquishing the Count himself. Armed with the classic whip, aptly titled Vampire Killer, and any other power-ups or weapons you can find strewn throughout the stages, your goal is to make it through 18 levels of intense hand-eye coordination side-scrolling goodness, all while listening to a rocking and iconic soundtrack as you dish out servings of death. Each level consists of you fighting off Dracula's minions, dealing with stage hazards, and whipping numerous candles and hidden blocks, just to get hearts or sub-weapons. Now, unlike most games, hearts don't actually replenish your health. Instead, this is used as ammo for your sub-weapons. Some will only use up 1, while others will actually use up 5. There's 5 sub-weapons to use throughout the game: a dagger, an axe, a boomerang, the time watch, and as the manual puts it, a firebomb, or as most people call it, holy water. Some weapons are more useful in certain situations though. For example, the axe makes the cakewalk out the first boss with its high throwing arc and large damage output, while the holy water makes short work of death and Dracula himself in the later stages. Along with sub-weapons, you can also find an upgrade to your whip to make it more powerful and longer, a cross which destroys all enemies on screen, an invisibility potion which actually grants you short invincibility for a short period of time, double and triple shot icons which allow you to throw 2 or 3 more sub-weapon icons, money bags which increase your score with the aim of getting to 30,000 to get an extra life, and a pork chop, which is the actual item that increases your health. The controls are pretty responsive. The D-pad moves you around, A button jumps, B button uses your whip, and up and B uses your sub-weapon. The difficulty in this game for me, however, is 3 main things: the jumping, the knockback hit from enemies, and the hunchback enemies. The jumping itself isn't too bad. Unlike Mario and Mega Man, once you jump you're fully committed, so if you didn't want to jump in that direction, too bad, it's going to happen. This can lead to some unfortunate circumstances, like accidental platform jumping into pits, or even getting hit by enemy projectiles. The knockback you receive from being hit by an enemy, on the other hand, is truly frustrating, and anyone who's played Castlevania would surely agree with me. There's nothing like making your way through a hard level, only to have all of your progress removed because you've been hit by a bat and then thrown into the bottom of a hole. While it is useful for speedrunning situations, and I would highly recommend watching some speedruns of Castlevania to truly appreciate how good people can get at this game, I'm nowhere near as good as that or consistent enough to pull them off 90% of the time, and when I do pull them off, it's more fluke than anything. And while most people would say that the Medusa heads are their worst enemy in the game, at least those fly in a consistent pattern. The hunchbacks on the other hand are annoying little buggers, jumping about all over the place and unable to time their attacks. If there's more than one on the screen, I don't even bother, I just let them kill me and then I respawn again thanks to the unlimited continues. At the end of each challenging stage is a boss, ripped straight from classic horror movies. You've got the Phantom Bat, Medusa, the Mummy or Twin Mummies as shown here, Frankenstein's monster, the Grim Reaper Death, and of course Count Dracula himself. Some are easier than others, especially if you have the correct sub-weapon. For example, if you have the holy water, it makes the death fight incredibly easy. If you don't have the holy water, prepare to die multiple times. The music for me is the best thing and standout feature in Castlevania. Even when I'm dying multiple times on the same jump due to my own stupidity, I'll still be tapping my toes to the music. And frequently I'll put on remixes of classic tunes while I'm at work or while I'm at home editing. The graphics themselves are fine for an early release NES game. The levels and backgrounds are detailed and colourful, while the enemies range from small to big sprites. However, there's not that many different enemies in the game, so it does lack variety. The game itself, you realise once you complete it, isn't particularly too long. The challenge comes from mastering the controls, the level layout, the enemy patterns, and finally killing all the bosses though. For me, because it's so short, there's a lot of replayability, trying to beat my fastest time or die as little as possible. So would I recommend playing Castlevania? 100% I would. I'd liken it to things like Dark Souls, where the challenge is there and you need to learn from your mistakes. If you can learn from your mistakes, you make progress in the game, and that's what makes games like Castlevania and Dark Souls satisfying. One of my sayings has always been that if you can complete games like Mega Man 2 and Castlevania, you shouldn't have any issues with games today. But I can fully appreciate that if you don't like a challenge or don't like repetitive dying, then this one probably isn't for you. If that's the case, then I'd probably recommend some of the other games in the series. Symphony of the Night or Dawn of Sorrow are good starts, or even listening to some remixes of the music that you can find online. The music is definitely one of the best things about the series. And now that this video's done, I'm going to go play everyone's favourite sequel, Castlevania 2 Simon's Quest.